Welcome to Run the Length. Before we get into the episode, a few quick things. First, go check out my Patreon, where you can get access to early and exclusive content, as well as the custom status effects tokens I use in this video. I also want to thank Matt Hart for allowing me to borrow his personal set of rat catchers for this episode. Now on to the episode. My opponent this week is Spencer Stevens. Spencer is a Guild Ball player out of Michigan and the only player I know who has pulled off the Guild Ball hat trick, winning the tournament, best goal, and best painted at the same tournament. You can check out what he is currently working on over at Other Spencer on Twitter. I am playing the newly released Rat Catchers, and Spencer is playing his Union. We select game plans. It's worth noting here that we forget the Minor Guild gets an extra plan card. My game plans are: get back in there, go for the knees, grudge match, keep your chin up, and fullback. Spencer's game plans are: seize the initiative, stick to the plan, keep the ball moving, won't touch the hair, and back in the game. I win the roll and choose to receive. I think receiving is very important for rats since they need the ball for most of their tricks, and that +1 to go first helps out a lot. We did not draft this game since I could only get my hands on the Rat Catcher starter box. I am playing Piper, Squeak, Miasma, Pelage, Scourge, and Skulk. Spencer is playing Vet Rage, Strongbox, Benediction, Gutter, Minx, and Mist. Rat Catchers are extremely limited when it comes to roster selection, even for a minor guild. Bonesaw is a terrible model, Reverie is good on him, but Reverie is good on nearly every Rat Catcher. I feel like you take Piper, Squeak, Miasma, Pelage, and Scourge every single game, and then flex between Graves and Skulk depending on matchup. If I had access to a Graves, I would have played him here. Spencer's Union list is a fairly standard Union team for kicking. The terrain on this board was generated using the Longshanks terrain generator. At the top we have an obstruction, then moving down we have another obstruction, a third obstruction, and 2 pieces of fast ground at the bottom. Spencer deploys, he places Gutter at the top, then moving down we have Mist who is kicking, Rage, Strongbox, Benediction, and Minx at the bottom. I deploy. I place Pelage at the top, and moving down we have Piper, Miasma, Scourge, Squeak, and Skulk at the bottom. Mist kicks off, and the ball fails to cross the line. I place the ball on Pelage. I allocate. I place 1 on Pelage, 4 on Piper, 3 on Miasma, 3 on Scourge, and 2 on Skulk. Spencer allocates, placing 2 on Gutter, 4 on Pelage, 4 on Mist, 1 on Strongbox, and 1 on Benediction. I sprint Skulk over to the goal, and Squeak follows up. I put up Horrific Odor in order to limit what Mist can do. Spencer sprints up Benediction. I activate Pelage and kick the ball to Piper. The kick is good, and Pelage jogs forward. Spencer activates Strongbox and puts Confidence on Rage, then jogs forward. I activate Piper and kick the ball to Miasma. Piper jogs up and uses Reverie on Scourge, sprinting him up to threaten Mist. Spencer activates Gutter and sprints her up the pitch. I activate Squeak and jog around Skulk. Spencer activates Minx and declares her free charge against Scourge and fails the charge. I activate Miasma and jog up, then I throw a Radicalism on Mist and Benediction. It hits Mist but misses Benediction. Miasma passes the ball to Skulk. I'm thinking that with Disease on Mist, he will struggle to get anything done if he's down 1 tack from Miasma's aura, and Skulk is crazy hard to get the ball off of. My positioning is not fantastic here, and Disease spreads to Piper. Spencer activates Mist and charges Squeak. I declare a defensive stance. Mist ends up down 2 dice for being in Scourge's melee, and Mist hits the momentous push dodge. Mist's second attack does 1 damage. Mist's final attack misses. I activate Scourge, and he jogs up to Mist. I position pretty poorly here, leaving Scourge within Rage's QuickTime charge threat. I was trying to avoid putting disease on Skulk and Squeak. Scourge attacks Mist, doing 3 damage. Scourge's second attack misses. His final attack does 3 damage. At the end of his activation, disease spreads to Minx. Spencer activates Rage. Rage uses his heroic on himself, uses QuickTime, then charges Scourge. I declare a defensive stance and a counterattack. This is a pretty big mistake since I forget that he has confidence on him and is very likely to wrap. Rage wraps to the 3, doing 4 damage and a knockdown. Rage attacks again, doing 3 damage and a push. Rage attacks again and does 3 damage. There was some confusion about influence here, and Rage ends up taking another attack and does 3 damage. This ends the turn. Rats are leading the momentum race 2-1. Spencer plays Won't Touch the Hair. I play Go for the Knees. I choose to go first. I place +1 tack on Scourge, and Spencer places Poised on Minx. I allocate 3 to Scourge, 3 to Skulk, 4 to Piper, 1 to Pelage, and 2 to Miasma. The plan here is to use Scourge to create as many problems in the scrum as possible in order to get the rest of my players to disengage, then to try to get at least 1 goal this turn. Spencer allocates 4 to Rage, 4 to Gutter, 2 to Minx, and 2 to Benediction. I activate Scourge, because if I don't he will die here. I forfeit movement to stand Scourge, and attack Rage. Spencer declares a counterattack. Scourge knocks Rage down. Scourge attacks Minx, and Minx uses her Poised from Won't Touch the Hair to counterattack. Scourge knocks her down. Scourge takes his last attack on Rage and does a double push. Scourge ends his activation, placing disease on Benediction and Rage. Spencer activates Strongbox and jogs him up a bit. I activate Skulk and kick to Piper. The kick is good and I keep the momentum. Skulk jogs to melee with Rage and attacks. The plan is for him to dodge a bunch, generate momentum, then next activation I will go for a Reverie goal. The attack only generates 1 hit on his knockdown Rage, and I do 1 damage, triggering Rising Anger. This is a disaster, since it breaks my momentum control. Skulk attacks again, doing momentous double dodge. Skulk dodges towards the goal. Spencer activates Benediction and attacks Scourge, knocking him down. Benny jogs to within 2 inches of Skulk and attacks. I counterattack. Benny is in Miasma's aura and is diseased, so he is only tack 5 and misses Skulk. Skulk's counterattack does a double dodge, and I move him closer to the goal, careful to keep him outside of Rage and Gutter's melee zone. I activate Piper, since if I don't take the goal now, Skulk will be in a lot of trouble. Piper kicks the ball to Skulk with bonus time. The kick is good, and Skulk dodges towards the goal, outside of Benny and Gutter's melee range. Piper jogs to within 8 inches of Skulk and uses Reverie to sprint Skulk and take a 2-die tap-in. I hit it and run the length to re-engage Rage. Score is now 4-0. Spencer kicks the ball back in towards the bottom of the screen near Minx. It scatters right in between Minx, Scourge, and Strongbox. Spencer activates Rage and spends 2 momentum to remove conditions. Rage uses Red Fury on Benny to attack Skulk and knocks him down. Rage charges Scourge. Rage wraps, dealing 5 damage and generating 1 momentum. This leaves Scourge on 1 health. Rage attacks again, killing Scourge. Score is now 4-2. Rage uses Red Fury on Benediction and hits Skulk, doing momentous 2 damage and a double push. Spencer pushes Skulk into melee with Rage and the turtle. Rage puts his heroic on himself and uses his last influence to attack Skulk and deals 5 damage. I consider activating Miasma here, since Spencer left the ball unsnapped, but she can't get to the ball and kick it to someone. Spencer has also placed the ball in such a way that if I try to kick it to space, his models will just intercept it. So I decide to activate Pelage. She jogs to Gutter and attacks. Spencer declares a counterattack. Pelage misses and Gutter pushes her out of melee. I end Pelage's activation, which triggers her dilemma. Spencer has the choice of 3 damage or is snared. He chooses for Gutter to take 3 damage. Spencer activates Minx. Minx spends 2 momentum to shake conditions and charges Skulk, picking up the ball on the way. Her charge wraps, doing 6 damage and snaring Skulk. She attacks Skulk again, and she wraps again, doing 4 damage and generating 3 inches of dodge. This kills Skulk. Score is now 4-4. She dodges toward the bottom of the screen, then takes her back to the Shadows dodge. I activate Miasma and throw Radicalism on Rage, Benediction, and Strongbox. I hit all 3, dealing 3 damage and diseasing them. Miasma has no one to use Salve on. Spencer activates Gutter, jogs to base contact with Miasma. She attacks Miasma and hits Scything Blow, dealing 3 damage to Miasma and Piper. Her second attack does 1 damage. Her third attack hits Scything Blow again. Her fourth attack does Scything Blow. Man, Spencer's dice are hot. Gutter spends 3 momentum to heal Rage. I activate Squeak and jog toward the ball. Spencer activates Mist and heals, spending an extra for disease. Then just sits tight. This ends the turn. Union are winning the momentum race 7-0. We select game plans. I play Get Back In There. Spencer plays Keep the Ball Moving. Spencer allocates. He places 4 on Rage, 2 on Minx, 4 on Gutter, and 2 on Mist. Having access to this fast ground and Get Back In There is insanely helpful. I am able to jog Skulk on 9 inches. But this is just shy of putting him in melee with Minx, so I decide to take a wider angle with him, and Scourge is able to threaten Mist right away. I allocate. I place 3 on Scourge, 3 on Skulk, 3 on Piper, 2 on Pelage, and 3 on Squeak. I am a bit worried about this turn. I felt like I had a pretty good board position before Gutter activated, but I did not foresee her hitting 3 Scything Blows on Miasma and Piper with no setup. This means that I could lose Piper very easily. I commit hard to the right side of the board to force him to do something with the ball or give up another goal. Spencer activates Rage and charges Miasma. His charge does 2 damage. Rage attacks her again, killing her. Score is now 4-6. Rage uses Red Fury on Gutter and she attacks Piper, dealing 1 damage. He has her attack again with bonus time and kills Piper. Score is now 4-8. Spencer going to 8 points here is super rough. It means that I can't try to take the goal here. I need to instead control the ball. It is also worth pointing out here that Spencer doesn't use Bloody Coin on anyone, which is a bit of a mistake. I activate Skulk. He jogs 7 inches to melee with Minx due to my game plan. He attacks her, tackling the ball. His second attack does 1 damage. His third attack does a momentous double dodge, and he moves away from Strongbox and Benediction. Spencer activates Minx, and she jogs to melee with Skulk, staying within 6 inches of Mist so she can potentially free up the ball. I declare a counterattack, which is free due to Poised. Minx tackles the ball. My counterattack tackles the ball back. Minx attacks Skulk again, doing 1 damage and snaring him. Then she takes her back to the Shadows dodge, dodging around him. I activate Scourge and jog to melee with Mist and attack him, doing 2 damage. He attacks again, knocking Mist down. His last attack does 3 damage. Scourge heals himself. Spencer activates Benediction and jogs into melee with Pelage. Benediction takes 3 damage for ending his activation, engaging her. I activate Squeak. He jogs into melee with Mist and attacks. Squeak has more hit points than Mist, so he gets 1 free net hit. Squeak scores all hits on his first attack, so he wraps to the 2, doing 2 damage and a dreadful squeak just to get the momentum. Squeak attacks again and all his dice miss, but thanks to the 1 free hit, he does 1 damage to Mist. His last attack does 2 damage, killing Mist. Scores now 6-8. Spencer activates Gutter and jogs to Pelage, then attacks her, dealing 2 damage. Pelage has Dark Allure, and that prevents Spencer from gaining momentum when he does damage to her. Gutter attacks again, doing 1 damage. She attacks again, doing 1 damage. Her last attack hits Scything Blow on Benediction and Pelage, bringing Pelage down to just 3 hit points. Gutter takes 3 damage for ending next to Pelage. I activate Pelage and jog to base with Benediction and attack, trying to grab some momentum. Spencer uses Benediction's Poised. She misses the attack, and Benediction pushes her out of melee, keeping her engaged by Gutter and Benny. I heal her and pass the clock to Spencer and trigger Pelage's Dilemma. He chooses for them both to take Snared. Spencer jogs Strongbox towards Skulk. This ends the turn. Rats lead the momentum race 5-3. We select our game plans. I play Grudge Match. Spencer plays Seize the Initiative. I choose to go first. We resolve Grudge Match first, since I have the initiative. This allows each of us to place Singled Out on an enemy squatty. I place Singled Out on Gutter. Spencer places Singled Out on Skulk. We resolve Seize the Initiative next, allowing each of us to make a 4-inch dodge with 1 player. I dodge Scourge up to threaten Minx. Spencer dodges Strongbox into base with Scourge. I jog Piper back on the pitch at the top and Miasma at the bottom. I allocate, I place 1 on Scourge, 3 on Skulk, 4 on Pelage, and 6 on Piper. Spencer jogs Mist back on the pitch. Spencer allocates. He places 4 on Rage, 4 on Gutter, 1 on Minx, 1 on Mist, and 1 on Benediction. This allocation is a huge mistake. I am trying to get value out of the game plan, and as a result, I have missed my line to win the game completely. I should have allocated and placed as much pressure on the right side of the pitch as possible, with my goal being a snack break takeout on the turtle for 2 points and a goal with Skulk for the game. I activate Pelage and jog to base with Gutter. She attacks Gutter and Spencer declares a counterattack. Pelage does a momentous dodge and leaves Benediction's melee range. Gutter's counterattack does 1 damage. Pelage attacks again, doing 2 damage. Her third attack does 1 damage. Her final attack does 1 damage. Pelage heals. I go to do Pelage's Dilemma and realize that Gutter was snared for all those attacks. Her Dilemma only hits Gutter and she chooses to take Snared. Spencer activates Rage and charges Pelage. I declare a defensive stance. His charge does 3 damage. Rage attacks Pelage again, doing 1 damage. His third attack does 2 damage. His final attack kills Pelage. Score is now 6-10. I activate Piper and jog forward. Piper then uses his Dilemma on Gutter. Spencer chooses to jog toward Piper. I move her into base. Piper attacks Gutter and Spencer declares a counterattack. Piper does 2 momentous damage. I forget to roll the singled out dice here since the token got left behind. Gutter's counterattack does 1 damage and she heals back to 7. Piper attacks again and does momentous 2 damage. I bonus time Piper's third attack and deal 2 damage. Piper's fourth attack does 1 damage, his fifth attack does 1 damage, and his final attack does 2 damage and takes out Gutter. Score is now 8-10. Piper uses his heroic on Benediction and pushes him away. Then Piper legendaries and pushes Rage and Benediction towards Spencer's goal. Here we are trying to make Piper as safe as possible. Piper heals himself. Spencer activates Minx and attacks Skulk. I declare a counterattack. Minx wraps to the 2 and takes a tackle, 2-inch dodge, and 3 damage, leaving Skulk's melee range. I trigger Lightning Reflexes and jog back into melee with Minx, careful not to leave Strongbox's melee. Skulk takes his counterattack, and I bonus time the roll back to 6, and Skulk tackles the ball back. Minx jogs back into melee with Skulk and attacks him again. She wraps to the 3, doing 3 damage, 2 inches of dodge, and tackling the ball. Minx then takes her back to the Shadows dodge. I activate Scourge and hit the turtle. He does a momentous knockdown. He jogs towards Minx, engaging her. Spencer activates Benediction and sprints towards Skulk. I decide that this is probably the best shot at winning the game I will have. I clear Snared and jog over to engage Benny and Minx. He attacks Minx and hits the tackle. Skulk swings at Minx and does 1 damage. I then forget that I don't have 4 influence and attack bonus timing, trying to get into goal range. I spike my roll and do a push double dodge, and then realize my mistake and pass the clock back to Spencer. Spencer sprints missed into melee with Skulk. I activate Squeak and jog towards Strongbox. Spencer activates Strongbox and does nothing. I activate Miasma and jog next to Squeak. This ends the turn. Union is leading the momentum race 2-1. We select game plans. I play fullback. Spencer plays stick to the plan. Spencer wins and chooses to go first. Spencer forgets to jog Gutter back on and allocates. He places 4 on Rage, 2 on Minx, 1 on Benediction, and 4 on Mist. I jog Pelage back on the pitch. I allocate. I place 3 on Skulk, 3 on Scourge, 6 on Piper, and 2 on Miasma. Rage charges Scourge. I defensive stance. His charge does 3 damage and a push, moving Scourge into melee with Minx. Rage puts his heroic on himself and attacks again, dealing 3 damage. Rage's third attack kills Scourge. Final score 12-8. This post-game analysis is made possible by the Patreon support of viewers like you. That was a pretty close game. I think the game started to roll out of my control after the turn 2 Gutter activation where she nearly solo killed Piper. But even with that, I had several good lines at winning the game. I think in this game, my inexperience with rat catchers really showed, in me forgetting to remember buffs and debuffs, but even with my subpar play, the game was quite close. I think Spencer played a 6 takeout game Rage very well. I think he should have devoted more resources to controlling the ball, and he had 1 or 2 Rage activations where he could have had a better bloody coin target. But with that, I would like to pass the question on to you. What were our mistakes this game? Would you have made different decisions during the game? Should I play more rat catchers? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button, it helps other Guild Ball players find this video. Hit the subscribe button to know the moment I upload a new video, and share this with your friends. I'm Vincent Curkov, and this has been Run the Length.